Good morning once again, and thank you for joining Edo 2020 Governorship Election Live Studios on independent television and radio. Of course, as expected, the results have started coming in, and so far a total of 15 local governments have been declared by Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and out of that 15, we have the statistics already. 3 more local governments to go before the final results will be declared and the winner declared in Edo 2020 governorship election. In today's program, we'll continue our conversations on the circumstances, the environment for the election against the background of all that is coming forth. Beginning with the announcement of the results, local government by local government. 2 key issues came forward. The issue of ballot box snatching. We didn't get that report yesterday while we were here in the studio doing all the analysis and getting live feeds. And then the issue of overvoting. That can only come forth after an election has taken place and then the results, the ballot papers counted. I'm joined now in the studio by 2 legal practitioners, Barrister Alakwe Mbanefo. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
We also have with us in the studio Barrister Cosmos Irabo. Barrister Cosmos Irabo, many thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Great Edulice.
Okay. Let's just look at the election one more time. There was a whole lot of tension before today, but somehow that tension doused out, in the election proper. Yesterday, we saw massive turnout of people. We saw an election to a large extent that was violence-free. And some of these key things are what we expected in the election, even though people had different misgivings based on the build-up to the election. Let me begin with you, Barrister Alakwe Mbanefo. What are your thoughts on the conduct of the election so far, based on the results coming forward?
Yeah, thank you very much, my very good friend, Sonny Dukokos. And I'm very happy this morning because what has happened in those states is quite unprecedented. From the results so far, announced by INEC, it gives us hope that tomorrow will be better than today, that this country will one day survive. And let me come back to a question. So many factors was involved in a near perfect or almost perfect election that took place yesterday in Edo State. One thing that we observed is that for a country to survive, it means that security agents will work in partnership with the citizens. So from what we saw yesterday, what transpired was that the police was working tirelessly with the support of the citizens of the state. Because most people that were arrested were people arrested by the citizens themselves who felt that what they were doing was wrong. And because if you look at it, you see that having 3 officers in one polling booth would be quite overwhelming for the 3 officers.
Yeah.
That was probably not armed. So yesterday the citizens wanted a free and fair election. And those citizens ensured that the right thing was done. And that partnership yesterday between the citizens and INEC and the security forces was quite unprecedented and overwhelming. And that was why we didn't leave the job only for the police. Everybody was ensuring that there's a free and fair election. Okay. Because people are tired of elections being rigged. People are tired of some overlaws taking over their future. People are tired of some overlaws dictating the pace. Yesterday we saw the way an institution should work. Yesterday we saw that while the election was going on, at the end of the election, that for the first time in the history of this country, that INEC portal was live, and they were posting each result to the portal, as it were, for units to work, to local governments and everything. And for the first time in the history of Nigeria, this early morning, it was already coming in. Yeah. Before 8 o'clock, we are having 15 local governments already announced. And nobody's complaining about this election. Everybody sees that it's transparent and that it is election conducted by an institution that has come to redeem its image. That for the first time, Nigerians are happy with INEC, and we hope to see more. Hopefully by the time the results finally announced, we hope to see more, and we're happy for the partnership between the security agencies and the INEC and police and all that. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Kismusirabo, massive turnout and security adequately deployed, materials got to voting centers as a when due. What do you make of this in this election, the conduct of this election?
You see, maybe I should go spiritual a little. You know, nobody fights God and win. You see, Edo people came out against the backdrop of certain things that had transpired. The Edo people discovered that it was no longer an election between two candidates, two parties. It was an election between Edo people versus a particular clique. So they were ready for everything and anything against all odds, all the leopards, the lions and everything. They were ready and they were ready. They came out even when it was rain or not, they stood and made sure everything was counted. So many things were put in place by a particular party to work against justice with regards to this election. One, the chairman of a campaign committee of PDP, Governor Civic, the police went to his hotel room and blocked him. Let's say, why Ganduje, that of APC, was left alone. He was moving around. What's the meaning of this? Federal government influence. Another thing people didn't know, that the policemen that came from different states. Why Edo State police were on standby? They were not allowed to move. Federal government influence. Another was that there are some areas that the areas where you had issues of ballot box snatching and all, there was no single policeman there. One is the one in Ohoro. And the intent was that these people knew that there was no policeman, or probably it's intentional, and they went there. Then if you go to Edo North, the area so far they declared won by the other party, so many things transpired. But over and above that, I want to thank God that God made a pronouncement, and the pronouncement is coming to pass. You see, this is victory for Edo people, not even for His Excellency Governor God don't win, Obaseki. It's victory for Edo people, victory for democracy, victory for Nigeria, because this will be the starting point.
Okay, but I think we need to wait till the final declaration of results by Mr. Kismusirabo before we go on this path of victory. Yeah, so we just need to wait, because we need to make a little correction. It was actually 13 local government area results available, not 15, as we mistakenly read to you a while ago. 13 local government results available. So there's a balance of 5 local government results. So you were talking about the conduct of the election in terms of the peaceful nature. Yes, and the turnout. Yes. Just establish that point.
I said nobody is the winner, that the people are the winner. And the people are the winner, I simply mean, is the turnout, irrespective of the weather, the threats, and everything. So that's the victory I'm talking of for democracy.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me get by Salakwe in here. We heard about overvoting and thugs that came out to snatch ballot boxes, but I'm a bit concerned about the thuggery aspect of it, because we are aware that the IGP said 31,000 policemen were deployed. And then we're hearing that in some of these units or wards, the presence of security, wasn't there at all. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I think there's no perfect situation. It's a learning process. And so whatever that is a shortcoming in the election can also be corrected in Ondo State election. I have a feeling that the only shortcoming here is that leaving 3 officers in 1 unit is not good enough. There's supposed to be a standby hillocks with officers by the side who will be there in case of any crisis, as it happened in some wards, like some units. Because it is a great crisis, definitely, to be overwhelming on 3 police officers.
Absolutely.
Who may not be properly armed. So I believe that there is need for them to review that again looking at what we observed yesterday from units, at least a Hilux vehicle filled up with officers who are fully armed supposed to be by standby, so that their sense is that if such issues arises, they will be able to tame the situation. But I don't think that an officer that's not armed can afford to stop anything happening, because the lives of INEC officials and the life of party officials are equally at stake, and the life of those who are coming to vote is equally at stake. So as much as it's a process, I think we'll continue to learn from it.
Fantastic.
And improve on it as well.
Fantastic. You talked about a particular unit or so in Ohoro where there was no security presence at all.
At all.
Yes.
They even televised it. No security presence at all. And people were scared to go because they said they were shooting, talks were picking everything. And no one wonder in a metropolitan town.
Okay.
It's funny. All he's saying, by and large, we'll still say the security agencies, they tried. They tried. As against what we were hearing, killings, lions, leopards, and all that. They still tried. But I want to give the kudos to Edo people who came out in mass to vote. Under sun and everything, they were there. They waited for it to be counted. I think that's democracy progressing.
Okay.
It's democracy in progress.
Okay, fantastic. We had, from the results announcement so far, we also heard the issue of overvoting. Yeah, these are shortcomings in the election, whether we like it or not. Yeah. What have you got to say about this, Bryce?
The matter is very simple. Where in a unit a particular number of persons registered, and at the end of the day, the people that voted now is above the number of registered voters. It behoves on INEC to cancel that particular unit, because it means that there were people that voted that were not registered
in that unit.
And then now the issue of card reader now comes in. If the officials of INEC that was in that unit actually know their job, by the time you bring a card reader that was registered in a different polling unit, in a different ward or unit, and that card reader is not, the owner of that card or the card information of that card did not tally with the information you have in a particular unit. It behoves on the INEC official to say, you cannot vote here because you did not register here. And so, when you have the issue of voting, it means that most people that voted didn't register there. And that was what gave rise to that overvoting. And I think it behoves on the INEC officials to actually cancel that particular unit, because the number that voted was purely far and above the registered. It shows that that particular unit was rigged.
Mr. Cosmos, you want to say something about this?
I just want to align with my brother here. Because one, your voter's card has your unit and everything on it. There's also a voter's register that you go and check. So anybody that goes elsewhere to vote means the intent is there. And the question was, where are the INEC people? So once there's overvoting, the regulation in law is that you cancel it.
Okay.
So if it's not cancelled, it means something is wrong somewhere. Those are the things we're all talking about. But all the same, I think democracy is progressing.
All right, let's look at the issue of vote buying, because the videos are online where some were caught with wads of notes, and on interrogation, you see the response that they will give and all of that. But before I look into that, let us x-ray again the ownership disposition to this election by the people. What do you make of it? Because you said a while ago, several instances, the citizens had to rise up to the occasion to even make arrests, apprehend people that had some intentions that would have undermined the election. So ownership of the electoral process, are we seeing that? Would you say that's what we've seen in this election?
Yes, I want to thank you for this question. It's a very germane question. We have to deal with growth in the electoral process. It shows that the citizens are partners in progress. It shows that the citizens are participants in the electoral process. It shows that citizens know that their future is at stake. It shows that citizens want the right thing to happen. It shows that citizens want to be competent to the system. So I think there is a disconnect between the security agencies before now, long before now, and the citizens. A situation whereby that disconnect between the security agents and the citizens. The citizens have seen security agents as a body that is on their own, that sees themselves as an overlord, when they operate in such a manner that the citizens do not see themselves as partners in progress. But what happened yesterday is that you will see that the security officials and the citizens was working in such a partnership because they want to achieve success at the end of the day. And I think we should continue with such a spirit, because to help actually the police in the long run to check arms, to control, to check insecurity, to ensure that at the end of the day they get results and all that. If you go to the Western Clan, for instance, and maybe this is the street, and a stranger enters the street, and the citizens around observe that person, they're not comfortable with that person's movement. The duty of the people who are living in that area to call the police and say, we saw a man and we're not very comfortable with his movement. Because police cannot be everywhere and
at the same time.
So police will not come down and get the person questioned as to what he's doing there. That was what happened yesterday. So some people that went to certain units and who has no business with those units, the citizens called on the police to say, ask the gentlemen, what are they doing here? And then if somebody is carrying such a heavy amount of money in a unit where you're not buying and you're not selling any goods, then it behoves the citizens to call the police and say, ask these gentlemen, what are they doing with this money that they're carrying? And so I think if that partnership can continue, we hope to make further progress in future elections.
Okay.
That's my take.
All right, yes, citizens' ownership of the election in terms of what we saw yesterday.
You see, actually, citizens proved that this is their time, and a whole lot of things were responsible for that. Before the election, we discovered that there was a disagreement between some members of the party, and they said the sitting governor was not performing. Now the citizens on their own, screened the activities of the governor, and they took a position. Because in the actual fact, the governor is a representative of the people. The people put him there. But we also saw a situation where somebody came out to say, I put you there, I gave the people bad market. So the people also screened it, and they took their position. That is, whether what the product you gave them was wrong or right, they took their position. You understand? Because in the actual fact, it is not for an individual to say, I give you there. Another thing was external influence. Where somebody elsewhere from another state is coming to say, those people should reject. It is not for you to tell us. We know whether to accept or not. So these things were building up protest votes. I remember I said something sometime here, I said, what we're going to get is going to be a protest vote. Another one was the situation where most of the people, some of the people from a particular party will say, we are going to rig, we are going to rig, we are going to rig. So people have said, okay, we must see how the rigging will take place. You understand?
Did they actually say they are going to rig, they are going to rig? There's nobody that will say, I really don't think there's anybody who will come out to say they are going to rig. But
a lot of people told me
that they are going to rig.
They are going to rig. Somebody even told me that he said election will take place on the 17th. I'm telling you this. If you go on opinion poll, you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
And then people,
somebody allegedly said he's going to rig.
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody told me that election will take place on the 17th. What he meant by that, I really don't know. But this is going within the air, blowing the wind. I think people said on their own side, we will want to see how this thing will take place. I'm trying to say what led to the motivation that people said this election is ours and we want to see, the end of the election.
Okay.
A lot of things. Somebody came out to say, a businessman came out to say, I will spend my last kobo. And then people say, okay, if you spend the kobo, the money will take it. And we'll still vote for who we want to vote for. A whole lot of things played out. So with all these things, the people got saturated. And I said, we want to see the end of this election, come rain, come sun. I think that's what really motivated people, owning up to the fact that democracy is their own. It is not for the external person. It is not for the security agencies, because if you talk of the security, they try, but I really will not give them a pass mark. Because once you are security agent, you are for the people, not one-sided. A situation where you hold the head of this campaign group, the other one is moving freely, you tell him to leave the state, according to Wike, that the IGP called him and said he should leave the state immediately. He said, why should I leave the state? You say the other one, why will he say when the Kano State governor is there heading the other district, and then the next thing people came and then ran out of the place. That shows bias as far as I'm concerned. And then I also heard that even the deputy governor was late stage. They held him about 10 DSS, make sure that he didn't move, while his opponent in the other side was moving freely. You know, but people hearing these things, even if you look at the debate, it's also obvious. Where one was answering his question, the other one was castigating him, abusing him and all that. So with all these things, the people say, okay, we want to see who will eventually vote. Because the fact is that no matter how tall you are, no matter how short you are, no matter how much you have just one vote. So with all this, I think that's why people owned up to the election, that it is our election, we are going to vote and see to the end. So that is his position as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, Barrister Alakwe, let me get your take on this. Let me get your take on this, particularly from the perspective of the level of mobilization, political education, conscientization, and awareness by the political parties for this election. What's your take?
Yeah, I think before I go into that, my learned friend, has made a very brilliant submission. Okay. As regards, what led to people's response to voting and all that. I also want to add that, like you earlier said, Duke, that the INEC, which is the body that is empowered to announce the results, are yet to announce the final result. Mm-hmm. We are only limited to speak within the scope of what transpired yesterday. Yeah. And that is what I want the viewers to have in their mind. Okay. So having said that, I feel that.
Let me just pause you there now. I've got Best Mbere, who is live at at INEC office to give us an update. Hello, Best. How are you today? It looks like you didn't sleep at all through the night you were there.
Good morning.
Yeah, morning.
I'm joining you this morning.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Very well. We're right now at the INEC office on Ikomahi University. Okay. I mean, you can attest the fact that we've been doing this all night. Yeah. And now we are almost at the final stage. And now let me quickly start from my first constituency, and I know you know what that means. Talking about the media angle. Yeah. I'm sure you can see the number of cameras that are here at the moment. That's to tell you that everyone is keeping tab what's happening right here at the INEC office. And of course, you can equally see journalists who are seated both from the print and electronic media. And then the member representing Oredo Federal Constituency, who is also the chairman House of Representatives Committee on Culture and Tourism, is here. And you may be wondering that this is not Oredo election. Of course, it's actually the party state agent of the People's Democratic Party. Okay. Now, last night, when I went around from the various collation centers in the different local government areas, actually check what's happening. Everyone has been coming here. I'm sure you've probably been following. Yeah. 13 local government results have so far been announced. Okay. And now, right now, we're waiting for the final 5 results by INEC. So they've gone on break, and I'm very sure that very quickly they will be joining us. And of course, don't forget that the agent of the People's Democratic Party at the state level, Dr. Moebi Obediama, will also be joining you in the studio.
Okay, Best, I'd like to know from you, from the results announced so far, INEC is yet to declare the final result of the winner. Can you give us the statistics of the 2 major political parties for the results announced so far? Are they immediately available to you? Yeah.
Yes, they're very much available to me. I have my charter with me already. Okay, from the 13 local government results, okay, let me tell you that we're waiting for the results of Akoko Ejo, Oriomo, ASAC on Central, ASAC on East, then Ovia Southwest. It means that we're expecting the result 1, 3 from Edo North as this, then 2 from Edo South, that done with Edo Central. And so far, PDP hold 24,606, APC 144,955, the margin of 98,651. That's what we have at the moment. But you know, as it is, we have to actually wait for INEC to tell us the very final outcome of the result. But everyone already knows where the pendulum is swinging at the moment.
Yeah, that's a bit presumptive. So we still leave it hanging and leave it with INEC to make that final pronouncement. Even though people seem to,
I want to bring on the agent of the People's Democratic Party,
okay.
Dr. Omoyege Ogbedehama. He's actually been here all night. He was here when the protest started.
Okay. Okay, good morning, Dr. Omoyege Ogbedehama. Thank you for joining this live broadcast of Edo Decides on ITV Radio Benin. How are you this morning?
Well, thank you, and good morning to you and to the viewers at home.
All right. You didn't sleep all through the night. It's written all over you. I mean, what have you got to tell us about that?
Well, I think staying all night to ensure that we strengthen our democratic processes, to ensure that institutions are built and are firm enough, I think is what we want for now and for the future. So I appreciate the opportunity to be part of moving it forward. I appreciate the opportunity to represent my party, state level in this commission. I appreciate the fact that the party seems rewarding to be at such a good exercise. So it's been a very wonderful experience. It's stressful, but wonderful.
13 local governments have been declared so far, 5 more to go from INEC. What's your assessment of the results so far from the 13 local governments?
Well, first of all, I'd like to appreciate and commend INEC for a very peaceful conduct of elections all through yesterday. And so far, the collation and the announcement of the results for the LTAs has also been very peaceful. However, if you had watched, you would have realized that I raised up a very crucial issue because Nigerians are watching, the whole world is watching, the international community. They are interested, none of us is interested. The issue of overvoting has been given preferential treatment in certain local governments and different treatment in other local governments. I had raised it up and I believe that INEC, its wisdom and its faith, will look into the issues of units 1, 2, and 3 in the 10 East and West. Those units had been voted, confirmed by the coordination officer before the interiors, and they should be cancelled like every other unit across the country.
Okay, we heard you during the announcement of those results. You vehemently protested that those units should be cancelled. Were you given assurances that they will be cancelled? Because you're mentioning that now. Were you given assurances that those units will be cancelled that had the fractions?
Well, apparently it's not supposed to be a choice situation. There are laid down rules. INEC has its act, election has its manual. So if a scenario like that was pointed out, they had assured that they would look into it and I will expect that those votes are expunged from the South West.
All right, Engineer Ogbendehama, thank you for joining us on this live broadcast. I'm hoping that before the end of the day, we'll be able to link up with you through Best Mbiri for us to get your final words on the announcement of results by INEC. Thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm sure you can catch up with me in my celebration.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Best Mbiri, of course. Yes, Best, thank you.
Yes.
We'll keep tabs with you. Yeah.
I'm actually looking to get the agent of the All Progressives Congress so that we can also bring him on board. Actually, he's not here at the moment. I've been told that he stepped out a while ago. But I'm very hopeful that when I do get him, I'm going to bring you on board. I'm sure you want to know what the outside looks like.
Yes.
It's actually really very and if you go outside the gate, I can tell you that the security agent, they've called them off everywhere. They've diverted traffic towards, you can hear it's a no-go area for any other person who don't have any business here, except if you have a business you're doing here in INEC. That's the only way you can come around. So it's very tight. Security is very tight.
Yes, Best. It's been raining cats and dogs. Apparently, I know that INEC office has been affected by heavy flooding in recent times. I hope that's not the situation there right now.
Even if that has to be the situation, I can tell you that people are here are ready to swim in the flood. But on the latter note, it's not they did some major work for today. And that's why they didn't use new office at Tapler Road. They came here to buy you. So the area is calm.
Okay. Thank you, Best. We're hoping to keep tabs with you so that we can get the other interview from the returning officer. Is it the returning officer? The party agent now. The other party agent. Yes. All right. Thank you, Best. Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Best Mbiri there giving us live updates on INEC office for the announcement of results. Of course, like you heard her, 13 local governments have been announced so far. We have 5 more local governments to go. And she mentioned the specific local government where results are still being expected. And hopefully that will come up in the next couple of minutes or maybe an hour, we can't say. But as soon as we get the live feeds again, we'll link you up so you can hear directly from the horse's mouth. Yes, gentlemen.
Yes, you asked me a question on voters' education.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
As far as this election.
Yes, the campaign, voter mobilization, voter education, and all of that.
Yes, there is a whole lot of improvement on this election, on the areas of voters, education, information, and all that. I give credit to the two political parties. Both APC and PDP did a great job as far as the issue of voter education was concerned, because the two parties were desperate to win this election. And because they were desperate to win this election, they went from word to word, they went from unit to unit, they went from local government to local government and the state, and of course saw the debates, by China's television and all that. The information was so much that it was looking as if it was a festivity period. You can see it in the people, from the people's reaction. You can see that even a 90-year-old woman or man know that something was about to happen, election was going to take place, and all that. It was quite wonderful, but the only problem we are having is that most times, INEC has played the role of learning geology a night after the earthquake. We are always in a hurry, a few days to election. We are always trying to do several things at the same time. So we look forward to a situation whereby INEC can prepare ahead of every election in Nigeria. INEC can prepare ahead of it. Then they have some permanent staffs that can be updating, working and improving on the electoral process, like what happened yesterday's election. The issue of INEC portal is a new development, and it was quite wonderful. That was why this result is coming out very fast. And again, The last Senate, headed by Saraki.
Yes, Bukola Saraki.
Yes, Bukola Saraki was able to come up with an amendment of the act, and and that amendment, of course, dealt so much on what we saw yesterday, trying to improve on the electoral process through science and all that.
Through technology.
Technology, yes. And then that bill, of course, was sent for assent to the president, of course, a few days before the presidential election.
Yeah.
And the president declined assent to that particular bill. I feel that if the president has assented to that particular bill, that whatever that was contained therein would have worked very wonderful in this particular election.
Okay.
And as it is right now, you can still agree with me that the formal law is what is in operational, where that you have to enter these results manually.
Yeah.
The formal law says, the current law says that you have to enter the results on the sheet at the unit manually, enter at the ward level manually, enter at the local government manually, then enter finally, like what we are observing right now, manually calculate before you announce. This is what is happening right now. That's why we're having this little delay. Assuming that that particular law was acceded to, by midnight last night, we have already gotten the result.
Yeah.
And so there's every need to build on that, so that we can take advantage of technology to fast track some of this process, and that will help in the future education of the electorate, of the masses, and all that.
Okay.
Yes.
Measurable. Yeah. Political education arising from the campaigns, the mobilization that we saw in this election. Would you say that contributed to the level of response by the electorate in this election?
Yeah, play the role. Play the role. Because, but if you want to look at it, before this election, other elections, there's this political education by political parties. Parties will always vote for us. This is what you're going to do, X, Y, Z, and all that. Well, the way I have issue is that every time is the parties that educate, every time. I expected INEC to also play a role. When you see voter party, simply because when people, there are so many insinuations, INEC does not really come out to say, no, it will not happen. This is X, Y, this is hard, the process good. And with this process, there will be no hitch. I expected INEC to come out, buy airtimes, educate the people.
But INEC did. INEC did.
Not enough.
They had jingle. I think that's the point you need to start from.
No.
Because you're presenting it like INEC didn't do anything at all.
No.
If you say they did, it wasn't enough. That would be understandable, because I'm aware that INEC had radio programs where they were educating people about voting, particularly amidst the COVID-19. Don't forget that's an integral part of the election. That the election was taking place amidst COVID-19. That's novel. First time. Yeah, they had an experimental election in the midst of the COVID-19, yes, but this is a full-blown election because it's statewide. All right, so I think when we say INEC, you are not satisfied with what INEC did, yes, based on the fact that they did, but maybe it wasn't enough, they could have done more. I think that's what I know.
Why I said INEC did not do anything.
Yes.
I expected INEC to come out to say, come and vote. Your vote will count. The process is this. If you come, you accredit yourself, you vote, it is recorded by the returning officers in the unit, it is announced, you give the processes.
Yes.
And after, when people see this, say from this to this, so there will be no hitch, come out and vote. People come out and vote.
Yeah, but INEC did. That's the point. They did.
I did get that.
Yes, they did. But I think I want us to try and stay on course by Mr. Cosmos But looking at the question that I asked, based on the campaigns, the mobilization, the political education on the part of the political parties.
Okay, parties.
Yes, political parties. I think that INEC political parties are supposed to complement each other. And I think they did. Yes, it may not be enough by your assessment, but to say that they didn't do anything at all, that would not be absolutely correct. So, by looking at the campaigns, the issues, the mobilization, what's your take?
Yeah, the parties tried. You understand? They tried. They did very well. To have gone around, first of all, went around the 192 wards, you know, telling them what they would do and all that. After that, they had mega rallies. From then, they now started mosquito campaigning, street to street and all that. I think they tried. They tried. I give kudos for them for that. That's the political parties.
Yeah.
They tried. They told people, don't be afraid. Nothing will happen to you. Come and cast your vote. After casting your vote, stay and defend your vote. Let us take it up from there. I think they tried. They tried. Okay. The parties, some of the parties even went as far as calling the international community. This is Nigeria. We must not miss it this time around. You are watching, you know, all that. I think they tried. It's a good one.
Okay, so we're expecting another contribution from Best Bureau in the course of our coverage of the election today to bring us up to speed with an interview with the party agent of other political parties. I think we had interaction with the PDP agent, Dr. Obede Ihama, earlier. We're expecting the interview from the APC party agent at INEC office, where results are being announced. So far, 13 local governments have been announced, and I will just take you through all of that. The result for Eastern West, as announced by INEC, is already there in public domain, so we can also remind you of it. APC 7189, and then PDP 17434. That's what was announced by INEC. And then we go to Oredo, as announced by INEC, APC 18365, PDP 43498. Now, you understand that why some of the electoral officers at the point of announcing the result, they usually will have some challenges with figures, because you know you just have to be someone who is really familiar with figures to be able to get those things out. Okay, then we have Eastern Southeast, as announced by INEC, APC 9237, and then PDP we have 10563. All right, that's for Eastern Southeast. And then Esako West, as announced by INEC, APC 26140, 26140, PDP 17959. That's for Eastern West, I mean Esako West. All right, then we go to Ovia Northeast, also announced by INEC, APC 9907, and then PDP 16987 of your Northeast result. And then we'll take you to Owan West, as announced by INEC, APC 11193, PDP 11485. That's the result announced by INEC. And then we go to Owan East, as announced by INEC, APC 19295, PDP 14762. Okay, then to Ego, as announced by INEC, APC 10202, PDP 27621. And to Uhunden now, as announced by INEC, APC 5972, PDP 10022 for Uhunde local government. And then to Ikpobaoha local government, is announced by INEC, APC 18218, 18218, PDP 41030. That's Ikpobaoha local government. And then Eastern Central, as announced by, as corrected by INEC officer. Yeah, that result was given, then there was a correction, and what you have is APC 6719, PDP 10794. All right, so these are the results announced so far, plus ASA Northeast, as announced by INEC, APC 6556, 6556, and PDP 13579. And then we'll take you to Igwebe now, also announced already by INEC, APC 5199, PDP 7870. All right, so these results have been announced by INEC, and so we're just recasting them so you can be abreast with what is happening with the announcement of results by INEC in Edo State governorship election. 5 local governments are still being expected to be announced by INEC before a final declaration and the winner is announced in this election. You know that responsibility lies with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, constitutionally and in line with the Electoral Act. Gentlemen, I just want to get final words from you before we take a break. Yes, Mr. Alakwe, satisfaction with the process so far?
Yeah, I think we can. It's a great, improvement from where we're coming from.
Okay.
And I feel that if what happened in those states can be extended to other states in Nigeria, I feel that the Nigerian electoral process, will be a model that can be copied by other nations. And we can't continue to be a baby all the years. We need to be, I think it's a very good pass back to the INEC and Yakubu, who is the current INEC chairman.
Okay.
The pass back, I think, can do better than this, and we can improve from this. I think this election has changed the narrative as far as, elections are concerned.
Okay.
In the landscape of political elections in Nigeria.
All right, by Secretary Rabo, yeah, it is an what they call off-cycle election, a one-off election, so to speak. With this, some of the challenges witnessed in the conduct of the election. For example, I'm particularly concerned that over 31,000 or about 31,000 police officers were deployed, and then you still would find units or wards where we didn't have security presence, where there were no security presence. So if we had election at a larger scale, perhaps some of the things that we have seen now would have been at a higher scale. Let me get to take on that.
Well, so far, so good. One thing will know that the election, like you said, is an isolated election, so to say. So because of that, it attracted so many attention from so many people. But all the same is good. The security agencies, they tried, though a lot is still expected from them.
Okay.
A lot. If I want to score them personally, I will give them 30. A lot is still expected from them. Because credibility of elections solely relies on INEC and the security agencies. If they do their jobs well, we will not have issues. People can vote and will not even bother begin to say we must watch and defend our votes and all that. So a lot is still expected. But over and above that, I think kudos so far to what has happened. Kudos to Edulais.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alakoyombanefo. We appreciate you. Mr. Cosmos Rabo, thank you for your presence. You've had experience in a governorship election.
Yes.
That was in 2016.
Yes, that was in 2016.
You contested in one of the political parties as a governorship candidate.
Yeah, I came third.
You came third, wow.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take a short break and we'll be back with you on the program, Edo Decides, live studios on the coverage of Edo 2020 governorship election. Please stay with us.